In the cold depths of space, a century-old observatory guards a gateway to a dead world. Awaken the astronomer, defeat the mechanical god, and liberate the celestial shadowsmith. This is the entire storyline of Astra Malorum explained. In 1770, Josiah Shem and his cult arrived in a town near Liberty Falls. With a forged property deed, Shem and his followers seized the land and possessions of a native tribe. Shem wanted this land because it came to him in a dream, where he was to build a mansion. However, the site contained otherworldly minerals. Little did he know this was Element 115.
These minerals from Shem's holy ground are rich with otherworldly substances. Shem maintained that the site where he built his mansion came to him in a dream. Perhaps it was a projection from the same realm that birthed these stones.
In these dreams, Shem was contacted by the Warden after finding an ancient artifact known as the Horn Key. The Warden lied to Shem, telling him he was an elder god of the Dark Ether, and that by following his commands, he could grant him immortality. Over the next 40 years, Shem used a ritual dagger to sacrifice offerings to the Warden.
Josiah Shem's blades sanctified offerings to the great voice from beyond. These blood sacrifices paved the way for our ascension.
Until 1810, they performed their final ritual, calling upon the Warden that they knew was the great voice from beyond to grant them immortality. However, their ritual broke space-time and Shem's cult was banished into the Dark Ether, leaving Shem himself trapped inside of a liminal space within his mansion, where he would be stuck in a loop, constantly searching for the Horn Key. Sometime later, a 7-year-old boy by the name of Silas Thurston had the subconscious urge to draw a picture of Saturn, where he wrote on it, "Someday I will visit the stars."
I drew this as a child. Now it seems like a premonition. I cannot remember what subconscious urgings provoked me to produce such imagery, but the die was cast.
This is a coincidence later on in the story, but when he grew up, Thurston became an astronomer. However, after searching the grounds of Liberty Falls, started to find objects that would later conceal his fate. He obtained the blade of Josiah Shem, otherworldly rocks, as well as different objects from around the world, including a celestial map that was drawn on human skin from Morasko, Poland, which was approximately 300 years old. This was a map of the stars that was etched onto the skin of a Neolithic worshipper, containing information that telescopes wouldn't be able to find until over 1,000 years later. After his discoveries, working from an observatory in Liberty Falls, learning about Josiah Shem's sacrifices and his attempts to reach an otherworldly realm and immortality, using Shem's dagger, Thurston believed these blood sacrifices would pave the way for his ascension. And soon enough, he was contacted by a mysterious voice who called himself the Great Voice from Beyond, otherwise known as the Warden. Just before we continue though, let me show you today's sponsor, War Thunder. I'm sure you would have heard because it's so popular, but War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and it's available now for free on PC, consoles, and mobile devices. Take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armoured cars of the 1920s to fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. Immerse yourself in the intense combat of War Thunder, where incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects place you right at the helm of the most powerful war machines of our time. Join a worldwide community of over 95 million players in epic PvP battles, and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. With an unmatched wealth of high quality content to discover, there is simply no better game suited for fans of military history. War Thunder has one of the most sophisticated vehicle damage models in gaming. Every vehicle is intrinsically modeled down to its individual components like engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and the crew, all susceptible to damage or disabling from enemy fire, and different types of armor, shells, and missiles behave like their real-world counterparts. And let me show you what's the most impressive about this. If your vehicle or an enemy's is destroyed, War Thunder shows you exactly what happens. It is called X-ray view, where you'll see precisely where the shell penetrated, which components were affected, and what ultimately led to the destruction of your vehicle. War Thunder offers multiple different game modes, super in-depth customization with countless camouflages, historical markings, and decorations for all types of vehicles, including community-created ones. And if you want to play on the go, there is an all-new mobile version available on iOS and Android, allowing you to take the battlefield wherever you want. You can play War Thunder right now for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile devices. Use my link in the pinned comment or video description to sign up, and new players, alongside those who haven't played in 6 months, will also receive a massive bonus pack on PC or consoles that includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. All available for a limited time only, so don't miss it. So, like I was saying, when the Warden contacted Thurston, he told him he was a master of the Dark Ether, a powerful entity, an elder god, and through him, he too could achieve what Shem did, where eventually, one night after a sacrifice, the Liberty Falls Observatory, along with Thurston and his followers, were pulled into the Dark Ether, where they came face to face with the great voice from beyond.
Everyone, listen to me. We are meant to be here. If not, why contact us? The dreams came to me. They came to us all. We reached into the ether and were welcomed by an elder god. He knew our ritual designs and wanted to see them perfected by our hand. His instruction. It was an invitation. He has been here for so long, lost in the wasteland. That is why he chose us. He wanted us here, so he can share his unimaginable power.
Well, you got it half right.
That voice. Brothers, sisters, it's him!
So you're finally here. That's good. I was starting to think I'd been stood up. Thankfully, patience is a virtue to which I subscribe. Hello, Dr. Thurston. How's the flock?
What? But you're just a man. You aren't a god?
No, I am so much more. Now, let's separate the wheat from the chaff.
Get away from me!
Be seeing you, Doc.
Now realizing they had been tricked, that the Warden wasn't really an elder god, just someone who to them looked like a regular person, he began removing the weak of the flock by sucking up their essence, leaving only what he considered the strong, including Thurston, who he let run away into the now Dark Ether located observatory, where he could continue on with his plan, containing the next Shadowsmith, Calatheris. In the meantime, Thurston and the remaining members of his cult did what they needed to survive in this dark, damp, unforgiving realm. At some point, Thurston discovered there was life on Mars. It's unclear from these radios whether this was before or after he was banished into the Dark Ether, because in the museum area of the map there is a relic fragment from Mars dating back 500,000 years. But these radios, from my understanding, are from his time within the Dark Ether. Either way, whether he discovered life on Mars before or after, he did. And what he found was fascinating. Mars, Titan, which is one of Saturn's moons, and Venus were all the homes of ancient civilizations that existed even before life on Earth, billions of years ago. And just like us, what resided on these planets worshipped a god or gods. And Thurston wonders whether who they were worshipping is the same great voice that had been speaking to him. But the ruins he found on the planets weren't unfamiliar to those on Earth. In their geometric shapes and similar to the Egyptian pyramids, their alignment with the stars, wondering if they were constructed to harness places of power, much like the Liberty Falls Mansion or the observatory.
It's an absolute tragedy that Shem cannot see what I have uncovered. He was merely lacking the advanced instrumentation to fully realize his theories. Everything we are taught about our planetary neighbors is a lie. Mars, Titan, and Venus were all home to ancient civilizations. It is remarkable. Eons of life, war, struggle, and eventual extinction. So long before our own planet could support a single cell of life. But that is merely the beginning. What resided on their grounds is nothing compared to what they collectively worshipped. Now, I have, as yet, been unable to discern if the voices that guided them are the same that guide us. The ruins left behind on those planets are not so unfamiliar. They are geometric, lined with stars, much like the pyramids in Giza. They built imposing structures with exacting alignments, constructed to harness places of power, much like the ground beneath my very feet. To think that, as far separated in time and space as they were from Shem, they may have both discovered the keys to eternity. I feel so connected to these lost people. They too were reaching out into the darkness to find answers. I am in awe of their efforts. And I wish to honor them by going where they could not.
The way Thurston says at the end that he's in awe of their efforts and wishes to honour them by going where they could not makes it sound like he discovered about this stuff on Mars before he was banished into the dark ether, which would also explain the artifact found in the museum, meaning he found a way to teleport there, as we see through the teleporter in the map. And if you look at the dead on Mars, the clothes some of them are wearing resemble the tunics found on the zombies in Origins, along with some of their features such as their teeth, meaning some of the undead in Origins were from Mars and a part of these ancient civilizations that somehow ended up in northern France. Anyway, getting back to the present time with Thurston, after being in the dark ether for 181 days at this point, he wrote, "In all my dreamings in this place of dark wonder, none have captured my imaginings as do those of the dwellings that cower under the malevolent glow of that demon cloud. It seems descended in time, offering tantalizing glimpses if one peers from the edge of one's eyes. Surely no such place was ever in the material. No, it was pulled from the imaginings of the void. I am sure of it. The plurality persists in the voices of its guardians, who laugh and mock when I draw." On day 392, he wrote, "This place, we cannot experience it as it is. Our brains constrained, linear, our lives distracted by our universe's freckled time's arrow. But not here. Its past, present and future are melange, consistent, recurring, stirred by reverberations of events that ring through the weft and warp of the ether itself. There is one echo, unfathomably vast, ushering cataclysm, but trailing a veritable Cambrian explosion of creation in its wake. What could have caused such a tsunami in the skein of reality? I must know." Thurston speculated that even though there were smaller events that must have led to different places from the past, present and future being pulled into the dark ether, there was one huge event that rung throughout the ether itself, leaving it warped. The echo of this event was unfathomably huge, the trailing similar to that of a massive explosion, but he didn't know what specifically could have caused this. And well, there is only one huge event that we are aware of that happened that caused everything to be banished into the dark ether, and that was the destruction of the multiverse by Nikolai in the old timeline. Meanwhile, the Warden, after capturing the Shadowsmith Caltheris, imprisoned her inside of the giant rock, and in order to make sure she didn't escape and guard the prison, after being inspired by a former film director known as Dean Roth back in Blackwater Lake, he made his creation real, and it was called Oscar, the observation system and Carnifex adjudicator robot.
Never have I seen such damning evidence of man's untapped potential. Dean Roth. Had big ideas that he let wither on the vine. Ignored them in favor of letting his world stay small. That chicken shit Yankee kept you in his head. Stored you away for a rainy day. One of his 2-bit picture shows. But we ain't alike. My eyes are open. My pet spread Roth's vast imagination before me, and I did what he couldn't begin to comprehend. I caused you to be made real in this world, my kingdom. You got a higher calling, one that's been waiting a long time for you to turn up.
Define higher calling.
I got something real precious to me, buried here, deep within this rock. And I got a vested interest in keeping it safe. Only problem is, there's too many irons in the fire as is. Much as I'd like to be everywhere at once, it ain't possible. And any leader worth his salt knows he got to delegate to keep things running smooth. Time to fulfill your duty. Earn your keep. Guard, patrol, defend. Do what you need to keep my property safe and secure. This I command.
Moving as the great voice commands.
After the Warden commanded Oscar to keep the area safe and to guard the Shadowsmith, while he was on watch protocol, an unforeseen circumstance led to him eliminating Dr. Thurston. We don't actually know what this circumstance was, whether it had something to do with him interfering with the Shadowsmith or attempting to teleport to Mars. We're never told.
Playback of elimination 20. Targeting Dr. Thurston.
Stay up there while I draw Oscar away. And remember, Earth, Venus, Mercury.
All we know is that Oscar eliminated him, and then his body was seemingly stored on ice, basically, by the remaining members of his flock. However, when they soon started to interfere with Oscar's work, believing him to be an idol and worshipping him after going crazy due to the amount of time they had spent in the Dark Ether, Oscar's only solution was to eliminate 30% of what members remained.
An unforeseen complication was encountered while implementing Shadowsmith Watch protocol. The remaining humanoids from Dr. Thurston's cult believe me an idol and have begun to worship me. This is interfering with Watch protocol. No solution to this problem is available in current programming directives. Attempts to explain that their disruption of patrol is detrimental has resulted in more interference due to follow-up questions and anointing me with oil. However, the oil has proven an excellent lubricant for joints and servos, so there is some benefit. It may have been a miscalculation to eliminate Dr. Thurston. If he were still alive, these humanoids' unwarranted attention would be his responsibility. Simulations suggest demanding blood sacrifice may discourage their growing attachments. Data projections show that a 30% culling of their population should suffice.
And due to this, it seems like anyone who was left then left for Mars using the teleporter, but not before hiding some of its components, making sure that nobody after them, including Oscar, could follow. And that leads us to present day with our characters, Richtof and Takio, Nikolai Dempsey, Weaver, Carver, Gray and Maya. After the events in Ashes of the Damned with them freeing the Shadowsmith Vaetherian, they then use Old Tessie and the Entity to travel to this observatory in the Dark Ether, so that they can free this next Shadowsmith, Caltheris, and regain more of their souls.
The Shadowsmith Caltheris is somewhere on that floating rock. Find her. Free her, as you did her brother Vaetherian.
And the Entity tells them only when they have restored all of their souls can they hope to confront the Warden, as without them, he holds dominion over them. As they make their way through the observatory, they retrieve Thurston's brain and place it inside of a perfusion machine, bringing it back to life, where he tells the crew the synapse reactor worked, and now they need to open the portal that will allow them to teleport to Mars, as that was where they were going to confront and free the Shadowsmith. Eventually they find all of the missing pieces to the teleporter, reactivate it, and when they arrive at Mars, Thurston tells them they need to activate the machine that powers this place, built by the ancient civilizations here. After doing so and turning on the anti-gravity in the area, along with performing a few more meaningless tasks, they eventually flare up the defense towers, which clears the cloud in the sky covering Caltheris, in which they then battle her. First, using the defense towers to destroy the rock she is entrapped in, and then battling her many other forms before she is freed from the Warden's bond. Nikolai and Grey then approach her, in which she restores their souls. However, it was too late, and the Warden had caught on to what they were doing. All of a sudden, he pulls the entity back into a portal. Caltheris escapes the area while she has a chance, leaving the rest of the characters trapped, as the Warden tells his Ravengers to take them. And we see they are dragged underground, presumably to the Dark Ether's version of Hell. And that is the entire storyline of Astra Malorum explained. Again, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to play it for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile now by using my link in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across PC and consoles, including multiple premium vehicles and other goodies. Available for a limited time only, so make sure to not miss out. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.